Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and today I'm pissed because the NFL just banned the hip drop tackle. Let's talk about it. So basically how the NFL is defining this is when a player is tackling an offensive player of the football from behind and they're unweighting themselves and falling with their hip or their leg or their body weight onto the offensive player's side of their leg. Now, whoever wrote this rule clearly has never tackled anybody in their lives. They've never had any grappling experience. They've probably been looking at a lot of spreadsheets. They've probably been signing a lot of papers in desks, in nice suits, in nice offices for the NFL. But there's one thing for certain. They have definitely never played football because this is the only way you can tackle somebody from behind. And it's really sad to see the NFL always take the side of the offensive players. Like, obviously, we love fantasy football. We hate when guys like Mark Andrews goes down for a long period of time because we used high draft capital on him in the drafts, and now we're not going to get to use him because he got tackled. But in my opinion, there is a lot of the onus that should be on the offensive player to actually protect themselves. Of course, we got to protect the offensive players. I feel like I've been very even throughout this kind of rule changing, gearing the NFL towards safety over the past decade or so. It's kind of jarring to see quarterbacks get kind of jammed down into the ground now. It seems like the NFL has adapted to that. It's really terrifying to see what wide receivers went through when they were getting their heads taken off over the middle of the field on hospital passes, getting helmet-to-helmet contact, and really changing. Like, we've seen what it's done to Antonio Brown's brain. It's really disturbing to see things like that in the NFL. But when an offensive player has the advantage and the defensive player has a disadvantage, and a couple of offensive players got injured due to this circumstance, it's really sad to see that the NFL just be like, hey, why don't you protect your knees? Why don't you slide when somebody's taking you down from behind? Instead, they're like, hey, we're not allowing that tackle anymore. Which brings me to like what the definition of a tackle is. By definition, if you're tackling somebody and you're not tripping them, which you're not allowed to trip in the NFL, if you're not allowed to trip and you're not allowed to use your body weight, you're not allowed to unweight your body to take somebody down to the ground, just seems absolutely obnoxious to me. I almost want to do like a video of like, here's how the NFL wants you to tackle somebody now in the NFL versus how we wanted to last season. Who do we have to blame? I think Warren Sharp was the guy who like made up this phrase, like the hip drop tackle. So, go to hell, Warren Sharp, because I think we're ruining the NFL. I think this is a big deal. This is going to be a 15-yard penalty. This isn't like a slap on the wrist. This is a plus 15-yard penalty. In most of these situations, it'll already be a first down, but it'll be an automatic first down, 15-yard penalty, which is going to greatly alter these games. And for why? It's just like it's a knee injury, it's a hip injury, it's an ankle injury thing. These are things that are just meaningful to people who are like in fantasy football, and things that can be prevented by the offensive player if they just go down correctly with good technique. I wrestled for 11 years. This is a pretty common way to take somebody down, is to sag your weight back, have your hands around the other wrestler's waist, and literally we were trained to take our knee and push it into the knee or the shin or the ankle of the other opposing wrestler, because there was no way for them to stand up without falling down that way. It's just a leverage thing, and I've never seen any injuries from that form of mat return in my wrestling career. And I think it's because wrestlers, you're not running at 20 miles an hour, so that's fair. You're not running at 20 miles an hour forward. You're stationary. But B, you know how to defend yourself. You know how to turn your hips and turn your ankles and turn your knees into a way that you're not going to have anything bend and break. Of course, we're going to see injuries in the NFL. I'd like to think that Roger Goodell is sitting in his office now. He's like, all right, we did it. We're not going to have any more injuries next year. Everyone's going to be 100% healthy. We're just going to live NFL life, not have to worry. We don't even need to roster, a 52-man roster, because we're going to have so few injuries in the NFL now that we've outlawed this one very specific hip drop tackle. In summary, guys, I think this is absolutely obnoxious. I also would like to blame Harbaugh. I'm sure he was on top of the mountain, on top of his high horse, saying we got to protect these players because he lost Mark Andrews with a tackle like this. And I'm sure a lot of defensive coaches are pissed off today that they have to figure out how we are supposed to tackle these freak athletes without grabbing them around the waist and without turning their hip in to the side. And I'm gonna go ahead and predict it right now. I think this is going to cause more issues. This is going to cause more injuries, because the first thing I'm thinking of is like, all right, if I'm behind a running 20-mile-an-hour Mark Andrews down the sideline and I'm behind him, how am I going to tackle him? I can't grab horse collar. Obviously, that's been a rule for a while. Great rule, by the way. I can't grab around the waist, because if I grab around the waist and I accidentally fall with my hip to the side, and that accidental fall to the hip to the side with my momentum breaks his ankle, I'm getting fined probably $40,000 or so. And, whether I'm on a rookie contract or not. And that's going to be a 15-yard penalty. They're going to have the ball in the gold zone, and Lamar Jackson is going to hand the ball off 5 times to one of their amazing running backs, or he's just going to take it into the end zone. It'll be an easy 6 points for them. I would guess that now NFL players are going to be trained to attack the knees and the ankles. So instead of going for the waist, which is where I would prefer to be tackled because it gives me time to react to that momentum, the players on the defense are going to be forced to go low at the back of the knees, which is going to be extremely problematic, extremely traumatic for the offensive player, or just go straight for the ankles very, very low, which could also obviously cause knee, hip, ankle injuries as well. Just a real bonehead move out of the NFL, and something that I just don't think that we necessarily needed. It wasn't a big issue to begin with, and it's just, I think we had a great run with the NFL, but I don't think we're going to have the same type of fun football watching that we did last season, where the referees were fine. We had a great performance out of the referees last year, and now we're just throwing them into the thick of it again. They obviously can't adapt because they have poor leadership. We've seen them with different rules in the past, with the pass interference stuff a few years back. It's going to be an issue in the NFL, and it's going to alter games, and we're not going to like it. And we're all going to look at Roger Goodell like, why we had such a good thing? We had such a good thing, Raj. How did we get here? How did we get here? And it's probably Warren Sharp, and it's probably John Harbaugh's fault over there for the Ravens. Tell me if I'm overreacting, guys. Are they going to figure this out in the NFL, where it's just going to be like a one-year thing like they did with the tackling the quarterback, and they kind of ease off of it? Or are you guys with me? Are you guys really thinking this is going to alter the way things happen in the NFL going forward? My name's Jamie Jakes. We'll probably try and make this into some sort of funny joke for a short or for a long form video. So please subscribe to see how Coach Jamie decides we are going to avoid hip drop tackles going forward. And just let me know how you think you would tackle somebody now without unweighting yourself from behind, without rolling up on somebody's ankle or somebody's knee. And let me know what you think. My name's Jamie Jakes. Thank you guys, and good night.